Hey everybody, JD Simo coming at you from my hotel room. Got a night off on the tour. We're just outside of Pittsburgh. We finished up our run last night with Tab Benoit in Indianapolis, and now we're moving on to do 8 shows with Samantha Fish. So welcome to Greasy time. Good to see you. Wanted to answer some questions that came in from my last update that I did when we were outside of Chicago. Some gear questions and some stuff that I should have talked about, but I didn't for whatever reason. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. But I've had a wonderful day. I'm sort of getting into golf. Adam Abershoff, who I've worked with for a long time, is an avid golfer, and I went golfing with the Tab and the guys because they all are big golfers. Last week when we had a day off in Minneapolis, but anyway, just went to a Top Golf and did 18 with the simulator thing, which is amazing. I had a wonderful time. And I played golf when I was a teenager, and I was really into it, but I hadn't swung a club in quite a long time. But God, it feels good. I understand why people get addicted to it. So anyway, I'm just sitting here in the hotel with this old Martin that I've just been having fun with. And I don't always do it, but I don't play a lot of bluegrass stuff these days. It creeps into some other stuff that I do. But for years when I was playing with Don Kelly, like a lot of other alumnus of the band, I did it every night for years. And it's still in there, and my appreciation for it is probably even greater than it was 20 years ago. And it's also it's really good just from a muscle standpoint of getting stuff to ring clean when you're playing acoustic. It's just great. And also just hanging out in the hotel room. And I love playing like real gentle stuff like I did a couple of episodes ago, but it's good to get your hands moving, all those shapes. It's a lot easier to do in G. That's why a lot of songs in that world are in G and A with capo and stuff like that. But I also love playing in D. It's a wonderful guitar to play. But anyway, I wanted to talk in particular. So I had a question about the blue chip thing, which I use these. I use TD50s. And it wasn't Oliver Wood. It was somebody. It was at Oliver Wood's studio. I was thinking about it after I said it, and I'd like to correct myself. It was I get to work over at the Wood Brothers studio in West Nashville, and which is a wonderful, wonderful studio. Actually, really, when it comes down to it, probably my favorite, like, commercial studio in Nashville to work in. Brooke Sutton, a very dear friend, amazing musician. Hey, Brooke, runs the place and is an incredible engineer as well as a brilliant bass player. And a lot of really great projects have come out of there these last few years. And anyway, it was somebody over there that hit me to him, and I was intrigued because enough people that I love use them. So I tried it, and I've totally fallen in love. The weird thing though that's funny is well, it's not weird, but every night that I'm out playing, on tour, playing out, people always ask me for my pick, and I'm like, well, I use the same one every night, and they always look at me like, what? And It's true. You know, it's like I've got three here, um, and I actually just got a shipment from him right before this tour, or actually during the tour. There were two, because like I'll usually one or two are like the ones I'm using, you know, and then I like the way they wear down, because they end up sounding better. And I use both the pointed tip, and I use the you know, like the shoulder of it, and they do, as a lot of people sort of pontificate about, it does make a huge difference, and it depends on what I'm playing. If I'm trying to play something super accurate, I'll use the pointed tip, like playing bluegrass and stuff. But if I'm a lot of the time, if I'm trying to play sweet and trying to have it sound fat, I'll use the edge, you know, because like here's the edge. And then here's it with the sharp end. It's just a little sharper, a little I don't know, maybe like a little more mid-range. So I alternate back and forth, but I love these, and I'll use one or two for, you know, 3-4 months, maybe longer. I've gotten into a habit, because I've used, knock on wood, I've used this same slide for a few years now. It's a rock slide, and I actually got it at Carter Vintage years ago. I have a couple of spares, but I've used this one for years now. I'm actually going to raise the action of this when I get home, because it plays amazing, but I'd like it just a little bit higher for playing bottleneck on it. But anyway, there's this tube that the slide comes in, so I've gotten really in the habit, so I don't lose the picks, and also to protect the slide, that it's like the second that I'm done playing, I put this in, and then I put the picks in here, and then I close it up. A little pro tip for you. But anyway, yeah, I use the TD50s, and they're my favorite. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is strings. There's one other thing I want to talk about too, but are you guys hip to these? You guys hip to Stringjoy? These things are amazing. So, long story, as short as I can make it, for probably close to 15 years, I used D'Addario. Our dear friend in Nashville, Tom Spalding, who still is a good friend, was everybody's rep in Nashville. Everybody. I mean, everyone I know, pretty much. And I, like many other professional guitar players in the 615, used D'Addario. One, because I'd used them pretty much my whole life, but then also because our buddy Tom was the artist relations guy. And so anyway, that changed right around COVID. And because I was sequestered, like all of us were, to be honest with you, I'd never really experimented with strings. I'd always kind of used just whatever, because I would generally would have to change them all the time, because I have really acidic sweat. I wish I could be one of those guys that could leave them on forever, because I actually prefer the sound of dead strings on acoustic, electric, on everything. But it's not the case. Well, it's sort of the case. I'll explain a little bit later here in the story. But so anyway, COVID happens, and I started experimenting because just for something to do, you know. So I got on this kick because I love old people who are aware of me and people. I mean, I'm a big record nerd, and I a huge musicologist. Sort of fake. There's millions of people that know more than me, and I certainly have some dear friends that I don't think I could ever stump them as far as music trivia is concerned. But I know a fair amount, and a lot. I kept over time, hearing about how all these guitar players, regardless of genre, really, like it was, certainly all the rock players of a certain era in the '60s and '70s, and then also R&B guys and not so much jazz guys, because they pretty much all of my heroes pretty much all use flat wounds, but about this pure nickel round core thing, which I still don't understand. I mean, I understand sort of what it is that, like, first of all, it's different alloy. It's pure nickel as opposed to whatever the compound is that they use. I don't know. Somebody can chime in and fill me in, but so that's different. But then also, like, the core of the string, when it's round core like they were once upon a time, if you don't snip the end off really clean and seat the string well, the winding can actually, like, come off on the wound string, which is another pro tip if you're going to try these. Be very cognizant of that. So there's only a handful of companies that do, like, round core pure nickel, and so I tried a whole bunch of them, and then I did a podcast with now a very good friend of mine, Blake, and who's up in who's up in Portland area, I believe, and he had done a bunch of work with Fretboard Journal and all that stuff. He's got a wonderful podcast called The Tone Mob, and which I love, and you should check out. And he mentioned in the interview, he said, "Have you ever tried Stringjoy? Because they're based in Nashville." And I said, "No, I haven't. I'd heard of them because I knew that my friends, Joey Landreth in particular, who's brilliant. I love you, Joey. I hope you're good out there. I'd heard that he used him, and I also heard that his friend, and also I guess an acquaintance, we've met and enjoyed each other's company once. Ariel Posen used them. So anyway, this is getting long, so I'm sorry. So I did. I said, man, I would love to try them, and then, but I said, I'm really getting into this round core pure nickel thing. I'm kind of getting away. I think I prefer them. And he was like, well, we make those. They're called Broadways. And I was like, that's fantastic. So I tried them, and I really loved them immediately. They sound like records to me. They felt great, but like they sounded, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And they're really great about custom gauges. And so I messed around for a little while to kind of find what has become my standard set, which is what these are. This for my main electric, for my Danacaster, for main electric playing, and it's a 10, a 13, a 16, not a 17. Okay, which is hearkening a little back to, I tried a 15, like the old Fender rock and roll strings that Cornell Dupree and Reggie Young and Jimi Hendrix and Duane Allman and everybody, and it just was a little too light, but 16 felt great, and then 24, 34, 44. So that's my, and you can get that from Stringjoy. I love these. They're my absolute favorite. If I wasn't working with them, I'd buy them. They're just my favorite. I'm really grateful to get to use like what is my preference completely. And they're homeboys, and I love them a lot. So you should try them, man. They're really good. They're becoming more and more popular. I really, small company, relatively small operation, especially compared to all their competitors, and I just love them. So anyway, check out some Stringjoy. And the other thing that I forgot to mention that I can't believe I didn't, but it's because I don't even think about them because they're so rock solid. Is all my cables are Divine Noise. Gil Devine in Portland, Oregon, has and his lovely wife have become very good friends over the years. Anytime we come through and play in Portland, we always get together. He's a fascinating guy, and their company is just him and his wife. And I can't remember where I first heard about them, but I remember when I tried them, it was like when I was super tweaky, and I immediately liked the way it sounded better than like I'd been using like Mogami and Canair and the normal things that I think people use. But I love the way that they sound. I just like comparing them. I haven't done it in a really long time because their stuff is I've toured a lot. It's been years and years that I've been using Gil's stuff, and I've never had a failure, which is kind of amazing. And I've beat the hell out of them, and I replenish. I get new ones occasionally, maybe once a year or something like that. Usually because they get so filthy, like especially like festival season, like playing in festivals and stuff like that, they get just so gross. But anyway, I feel like I'm not like enlightening you with some like big tips or anything like that, but they're really great, and another really small business that are doing a wonderful job, and I completely rely on. And that's sort of the last bit of it as I'm thinking about like the companies that I do work with. It's like, Wayne with Headstrong Amps and Stringjoy and Blue Chip and Divine Noise, like, and even, for that matter, like Wade Kofer or Danica guitar, like they're all like really, they're all friends, like they're all like people that we get together and hang out, and we're like everybody that I just listed, like they all are like total music nerds like I am, and we always have a really great time catching up. And the fact that they make great stuff that I get to use is like icing on the cake. So anyway, just a little, because I got some questions about all that after the fact, and I just wanted to clarify, and I wanted to, if you guys haven't tried any of them, I strongly suggest, it works for me, and I am fairly picky. I wouldn't say that there was a time maybe 6-7 years ago when I was much more OCD and anal about it, whereas now I'm much more kind of, I know what I like and I just sort of maintain it. So anyway, looking forward to wrapping up. Like I said, we've got 8 shows left, mostly in the Northeast and Midwest. I think we wrap up like in Detroit and Grand Rapids area. We've got a bunch of shows in the Northeast, though, these next several shows, like in New Jersey. The first show's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and then we're in York, Pennsylvania, and Collingswood, New Jersey, at the Scottish Rite Auditorium. That's another venue I love playing. And I forget where the other ones are. But anyway, check the dates. They just today posted a ton of all the dates in May and June. We're going out with my friends Devin Altman and Dwayne Betts doing a bunch of shows, and those are going to be really fun because it's like family. But anyway, I'm going to chill out a little bit and probably play some more guitar, work my hands out a little bit. But anyway, I hope you're doing well, and sorry for the long episode. But keep it greasy, and I love you, and I hope to see you soon. All right.